So the Boston Celtics managed to pull away this win against the Indiana Pacers, and it did feel like the Pacers lost this game instead of the Celtics winning this game, because the Pacers had so many opportunities to close this game out, and they just couldn't. They cut the lead down to one to enter in the fourth. They had a 5-point lead late in the fourth, and they were almost able to pull this win away on the road and still won to go up 1-0. And instead, they couldn't close it out. Turnovers killed them. Not calling a timeout, then not fouling up free, and then not being able to close out in overtime. And also, I don't think the Celtics played a good enough game either on either end. So they really had the chance to steal this game, and they just couldn't do it. Things were going in that direction all game long, where they were able to go on runs, close out the leads, and not get put away as the Celtics have done to most of the opponents so far. And I think that just comes down to experience, where it was a bad turnover from Halliburton late in the game, another bad turnover from Nembhard. Those are the things that a young team will probably struggle with in clutch situations. Unfortunately, they just couldn't close it. And so the Celtics were able to pull this game away and beat the Indiana Pacers at home in overtime. Though it did feel like the Pacers lost this game more than the Celtics won this game. I thought the Pacers played a good enough game to win on the road and still won to go up 1-0. And instead, they weren't able to close out. They couldn't cut those turnovers down. They had 5 in the fourth quarter. They had 2 crucial ones to end the game, and some poor decision making as well. And then unfortunately in overtime, they just couldn't get it done. And also, I don't think the Celtics either played a good game either on both ends of the floor. So they really had a chance to close this game, to steal this game on the road and be up 1-0 on one of the best teams in the playoffs. Although things didn't start well for the Pacers, where they went down 0-12 to start the game, missing their 6 first shots, they did bounce back rather quickly, where they made 6 of the next 7 shots, and then did a quarter going on making 13 for 18 shots. Now it started with Obi Toppin going for 11 points, and after that it was just a game of runs. And when it comes to Halliburton, he finished with 25 points and 10 assists. It felt like a good game, though it could have been much better. He did what he was meant to do with it, setting guys up, scoring as well. He was aggressive. The one thing that does stand out is him going 6 for 14 from 3. And that's him having 14 shots from 3. He only had 4 inside the arc. And a lot of that is because the way the Celtics play defense. He was seeing drop every single time. And in the first half, they were just going at Al Horford and Luke Cornett every single time. And he had an open pull-up shot every single time. Though I do feel like he could have attacked more. Only 4 shots inside the arc doesn't feel like a good idea. When it comes to just the overall offense, when it comes to scoring, that worked. I didn't see much of the Celtics defense just not forcing them into tougher shots. They were able to get whatever they wanted, and they shot 75% at the rim. Their frequency was up as well. Shot 54% in the paint, shot 52% in the mid-range. They were cooking from wherever they wanted to. Though one thing that did stand out a lot was in the second half, their frequency did go down in the paint, in the rim. They had 8 shots in the mid-range in the first half, had 13 in the second half. But a lot of it was just good looks still. They missed a lot of threes in the second half, and those were good looks. There was a Ben Shepherd in a corner in transition, that was a miss. There was another a skip pass to, I think, Nembhard had an open shot. So the offense was flowing. Outside of the turnovers, outside of them just having 21 stupid, poor passes, turnovers, where it was dumb mistakes. Aaron Nesmith had 5 of them. Miles Turner had 4. You had 3, 6, 7 guys with double-digit turnovers. That's not going to cut it. And even if you're going to be that efficient, where you're scoring from everywhere on the floor, if you have 21 turnovers, you will likely make this a game, because that's how the Celtics were able to just keep up their offense, just constantly running, constantly getting easy looks, and they had 21 points off turnovers. Though it's defense that was more of an issue for me, for the Pacers. That was a thing that I think will be the reason why the Pacers will win or will lose the series. It won't be their offense. I didn't see much where the Celtics just adjusted. Where they forced the Pacers to not being able to solve their problems. It was more on the other end. The Celtics punished them at their own game. They were outpacing the Pacers when it comes to just running off makes, running off misses. And that's how the Celtics got their offense. They were also hunting Haliburton on switches. That was always going to be expected. And they had so many open looks because of it. So that's going to be a thing for them. And I don't know how they will adjust on that. They also allowed so many shots at the rim. Most of them coming in transition. So the defense will be the question mark for the Pacers going forward. But from the Pacers, I still feel good about this because this plays in their brand of basketball. It plays with them pushing pace, having high scoring games, getting good looks after good looks. This is what they want. This was never going to be a defensive series where it's game in the mud, especially between, I think that the Celtics and the Pacers were the two of the best offenses in the league and in league history. So this was going to be a thing. And it's playing to what Pacers want. So if they continue to have Haliburton be this aggressive, be this kind of shot maker, if they continue to have Pascal going strong at mismatches, Miles Turner being this effective, and then having this production off the bench, the way they have been getting, play throughout the whole playoffs, then I feel good about this. The stretch in the late game with the turnovers, that's the thing you learn from. But overall, this is exactly where the Pacers should want. They should want to have these kind of fights where you just have to outscore the opponent because it plays right into their strengths. When it comes to the Celtics, I don't think they played a great game on either end. Offensively, like I said, they did push off makes, off misses, and they just constantly run. That's where they got good offense constantly. And that's how they went on runs. And that's how they've been playing, I think, throughout the playoffs as well. But everything else apart from that just wasn't there. The defensive effort wasn't there to me. The intensity, the rotations were missed. The effort just wasn't there. And I think that's what hurt them throughout this game. That's what allowed the Pacers to just continue to run. And they were just giving up open looks. They allowed so many open looks at the rim. There was also, I think, the reason why the Pacers didn't get any foul calls. Because whenever they did get to the paint, get to the rim, there was no one there. And it was just an open look after an open look. And I think that's something that just can be brushed up on, that can be easily fixed. This wasn't the Pacers doing something that made the Celtics have question marks. This was just the Celtics playing down to the competition, I guess. The way we've seen the Celtics start the games, the series. We've seen them against the Cavs doing this. We've seen them do the same thing against the Heat. So this isn't a big question mark. This isn't a big concern going forward. But this just can't happen constantly for the Celtics. From the Celtics, I'm also glad that they managed to pull away this win despite not playing great on either end. They probably know themselves that they can be much better than this. They know that this wasn't playing to their standard and they still managed to pull off the win. And I think this kind of just helps them in a way as well, where they did struggle. They did have a poor fourth quarter. They shot 39% in the fourth. And they still got it done. They still managed to pull away. Playing through these kind of games does help in the long run. And this should be a win that makes them feel good about themselves going forward. It also kind of shows me that this should be an easier series than what this game showed. There wasn't many adjustments, many concerns from the Pacers on either end that they could just continue to exploit the Celtics with. So with that in mind, going forward, I don't see the Pacers really making this tougher unless they can just continue with that high-powered offense. So we'll just see how both teams bounce back in the next leg.